Blog Talk Radio.
We welcome the night.
Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, maybe, possibly, is my co-host Ian. Ian, are you there? Ian? Well, I guess not. He might be muted. He might not be here. Oh God, please. It's been I'll tell you, it's been awful trying to get this show to work these past 2 days. And man, it's been rough. It's been rough. We will see what I'll send him a message, seeing what's going on with him. You might have to call back in, Ian, if you can hear me. All right. Well, it's going to be one of those nights, but we will see what goes down here. I cannot hear you at all if you're on your end. I don't know what's going on. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. Just call back in. Just call back in. We will see what that happens here. We will see what happens. Call back in, Ian. But yeah, as you can tell, it's been rather difficult trying to get this show done this week, and many obstacles have been in our way to get things situated, life in general, and when you think, hey, I want to take a break, discuss some horror.
Hello?
Hey, there you are. Everything happened.
I hit, like, it kept saying I was in the queue when I would hit 1. So that's weird.
I know, Ian, like, we just want to talk some horror movies, and they're just not letting us do it. You know, we come on here, we want to let ourselves out and be free for a while, and no, here comes life, just shoving it right down our throats. But we are here finally. Ian, it is great to hear your voice after everything that's been going down, and the fucking 4 minutes into this show where people are going to like, what the fuck's wrong with these people? But honestly, it's going to be one of those shows because we got a fucking movie that had to honestly just like shove it down our throats anyway with agendas and shit. But nonetheless, we're going to try to do this, and we might have a bonus review because, again, I watched another one today, so I don't know how good my memory is going to be with everything going down, but besides life and everything else happening, how are things?
About as good as they can get right now.
I hear you. I mean, I know with what's going down on my end, it's every other day it's something. You have a family member that's bleeding to death. You have someone. It's just like, oh my God, it's just nuts. But nonetheless, we're here, and we want to get through this. We just want to talk hard. So we're going to do that. We're going to start this, and again, this is like almost a month or so since our last episode, episode 300. This is 301, and again, I had all these ideas. We had something planned for St. Patrick's Day. We had a special Boneyard review, and that messed up because the film wouldn't do what it's intended to do, and there's no other way around that. And that was rough. And then we're here, and then we trying to get everything situated from last night to do it actually on Easter, and here we are a day late and $1 short. But nonetheless, let's get into this shit, Ian. Happy Little Bunnies is our film. And it's anything but happy with this fucking show trying to get it to work. But nonetheless, Happy Little Bunnies. I don't even know where to begin with this one. It's not a tough one to discuss. There's just not a lot of substance there. So, Happy Little Bunnies, I'm just going to kind of briefly go over a few plot points. We have Carl and John. Those are our two protagonists, main characters that talk pretty much the whole fucking movie. And John is sort of having, I wouldn't really want to say, he has tendencies, I'll just say that are illegal tendencies, and he doesn't know how to, keep those under control. And he goes and he sees this ad, which you don't see it, it's just boom, here it is. This is all, again, dialogue heavy to get to this point. And he sees an open ad about, a guidance counselor or something like that to effect, which is Carl. And Carl has this childhood past that he kind of reiterates to John about instances in his life that kind of are important to what John wants to perceive that are trying to help him with his tendencies and urges. And at the same time, while this is going down, there is a masked bunny, a guy in a sock bunny, going around murdering people. And that also introduces, again, like backstory and like of Carl's upbringing and his stories about his brother and his sister and his father and abuse and a bunch of stuff like that, while also telling the story about going after pedophiles and other forms of abuse and just things that kind of tick him off in a sense, because the film's nothing but tirades, and that pretty much as soon as the film starts, it says the director, a blah blah rant. The director's name rant, and there's like fourth wall breaking and like talking to the film, to the person watching it, and a lot of sort of like meta humor at the same time, and it's a very odd, really peculiar film, and like it's not too terrible. Like again, like when we first started doing these Easter films, I mean, again, it's more competently made film than Beaster Day, but I think I'd have more fun watching Beaster Day than watching this again, because it's almost 2 hours. It's just trivial conversations about what ticks the director off. And when I was watching it, Ian, you don't have any recollection of this because you don't know that much about the director, but it was reminding me of like a Bill the Bub movie where like there's like Dickless Zombies. It's a film called Dickless Zombies, and it's about these women, and they just carry on conversations about the most minute things, and basically it's just Bill Above going on a rant, and the only thing is like it's naked women, and they're doing these rants about stuff, and that's what this felt like, only without the naked women, going on these ridiculous rants about women and pornography, and like how we want to see like them take the biggest dick in their ass, and uncomfortable, and being like misogynistic, and all these weird conversations that's just like two blokes just talking about porn, and like again, like something like me and Ian, going on these rants and tirades sometimes. It almost like felt like we were watching a movie of our rants in a sense of just like what ticks us off sometimes. And like, it's an interesting movie, don't get me wrong, but it's just like a little, at points it felt like the director was really stroking his ego, and it was just like ejaculating it on film, it's just like, yeah, there we go. And at points it was okay, at points like the gist of the film, I mean, it's okay for where it eventually leads, but it's just like they kind of go about it all wrong. Instead of going from like A, B, C, they go A, Z, F, then to B, then to C. There's like weird consistencies of keeping the story like going forward, because like at points they like break the fourth wall, and the director's there, and he talks to you, and like, you may be wondering what this film is about. So did everybody else when they read the script. Now here's this fourth wall break, and we're gonna rip on what is it, Ghost Walks? I think that's the film where Casey Affleck's in the ghost sheet, and then you have like a 2-minute scene of a girl eating pie, which apparently I think is a scene in the movie as well of A Ghost Walks. But again, I've never seen that film. I know about it, but I've never seen it. So I don't. Again, the joke. I mean, I get the joke, but it's just like one of those things where it's just like you're a little pushing it, dude. You know? And that's what it felt like. Like I get the idea that you're going about. I understand your frustrations and your points and you're wanting to make about all this stuff, but it felt like it was a little too on the nose. And I'm sure, again, if I was British, I would probably get it a little bit better. Being an American, I'm sure there's some humor and some stuff like that that's going over the top of my head, but I still can understand the movie, and the movie is it was all right. I mean, it was, again, one of the, probably if we had to conclude it with like stuff like we've watched earlier, I mean, it's definitely one of the okay ones at best, and it's like not bottom tier, but it's like a little notch above it, because like, again, like some of the gore is okay, not much, but seeing all these pedophiles and creepos and everything go through having and like yuppies and stuff like that, like getting killed. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but it's just like he goes about it all wrong. It's just like, I've seen this movie done before. I'm positive I've seen this movie done before, but it's just not like the meta humor and the fourth wall breaking where the eventual end comes about, like getting there. I'm like, I've seen that movie before. But Ian, I'll let you go back, describe your thoughts on it, and then we'll go back and forth, because I know there's not a lot to really go into, but it's an interesting film, to say the least.
Right. Well, honestly, I would have to say, like, real quick, that I thought the acting in the movie was a lot better than a lot of the movies we've watched. Kind of low budget. So I was like, ooh, I was like, dang, these people are actually putting a show for us. But, I completely agree with what you stated, that it was just like too on the nose. Some parts just dragged out way longer than it needed to be. I mean, it is an odd movie, not bad, but a little too in your face with a lot of stuff. Too much, like, just talking. Well, yeah. And I was, I wanted to see more of the killer, but it was just, I don't know. I think my favorite scene in the the whole movie is when at the BDSM club when the rabbit's dancing around. But other than that, like
I
when
think
they were
the
going
director
through the glory hole.
The glory hole scene was good. No, the director had means to make a fun movie, but he just decided to just ejaculate all over the place. Like, yeah, take that,
Literally.
Taste me. He's like, taste me. And it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts in there that are fun, like that BDSM scene and the glory hole scene, and like again the rant about pornography and stuff like that. And it's just like there's some good parts in there, and like again trying to put it in there with like abuse and pedophilia and stuff like that. I mean, he just kind of put too much in there, Not that like it just elongated the film more than it needed to be, because it really does drag, like you said.
Yeah, well, some of the themes in the movie just kind of, like, it was just, I don't know, the movie was all over the place. And like, it flipped and flopped so many times that I got confused.
It was serious, but also to a point where it was almost a parody of itself, too.
Yeah. And, no, I did like the ending of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Like, like the little twist at the end, but, like, and, but I was just so confused because, like, I don't know if I've missed a couple of things, like, whatever, but, and I even looked it up. I was like, I had to look it up again, like the synopsis of the movie, just to make sure that, like, I understood what's going on. Because I was like, it's bad when you have to look at a road map to figure out how they got from point A to point B, just to see if I missed something.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up finding some reviews on it, and a lot of people were confused by this movie. That's like the number one complaint, was that it was confusing. Which is
I don't
not
think
necessarily
it's confusing. It's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't say it's confusing. It's just, like, again, it's like taking itself serious, but it's not. And that's what I think throws you off, because, like, it has a very dark subject matter, but it's putting, like, jokes and meta-humor and gags and stuff in there and, like, fourth wall breaking. And it's just like it throws it off for what's supposed to be a serious movie about abuse and, sexual abuse and pedophiles and all that stuff, and just like
and living out your fantasies and everything.
And the conversations drag out immensely, where it's just going in one ear and out the other, and you're just like, get to a point. It's just like he's just going off on these tangents, and it's the director it's his tangents, and that's the whole thing, and where it's saying he's stroking his ego. And he's just having a writing spree when he was writing the script, and just going off on tangents, what's pissing him off, or what makes him mad, or something, or just how he feels about life in general, and like putting it all into this film. And like I said, it feels like a Beelzebub movie, but it's more tastefully done, without the nudity and the close-up shots of vagina and stuff like that. It's just like two dudes talking about whatever water cooler topics, but it's like, it's so weird. It's just like, it's like a tastefully done Beelzebub movie with just two British dudes talking about people getting pissed on and shit. Like, it's so weird. And it's just like it's like nonchalant, like conversations too. Like, well, us guys, we like to see women take it, talking about taking horse dick. Like, Jesus Christ. And that's a conversation. Literally, that goes on a tangent. After the porn, it goes into fucking animals, and then it's just all over the place. Like, it has this conversation about fucking animals, and like, oh, you know what? pedophiles. Here we go. Let's have a scene about a girl getting raped. You know,
yeah.
it's just like it's all
And
over the place.
watching.
And like I said,
the whole bird watching thing was, oh my God, I was like, why? I was like, it was just, you know, and he brings up, you know, everything that we see, he brings up eventually. But I think that's the part that confused me, was that he was talking about one thing, and then it's cut to a different thing, and then that thing got brought up later on, and it was kind of like bouncing or like a, you know, next scene, you know.
It was like, it's like those memory card games. You know the memory card games where you're trying to flip over the card and match it up and remember? He's like, he got apple, and then he got zebra. And then, like, you know what? That's going to work. You know?
Yeah.
We're going to work with this.
I think that's the part that was kind of confusing, because I was like, I kept feeling like I was missing something, because it was going from one thing to another. And then, like, I mean, by the end of the movie, it all makes sense. But, like, you know, when you're going through your first watch, you know, it kind of just, everything just feels out of order. But then you realize it falls into place when you get to the end of the movie. And, I mean, I understand that. Like, leaving your, you know, giving your audience questions and making them pay attention, because they're like, oh shit, I must have missed something and I need to start like focusing. And I get that. And, you know, this wasn't a bad movie, and some of the monologues were really well delivered. While they might not have been like the best written, like, he really drove home everything he said. And that's where I give kudos to, like, the acting, because I'm like, when he talked and the way he talked, it made you, like, it kind of drew your attention to it. And I was like, you know, for anybody that can draw your attention just by speaking is, you know, pretty good in my book, so... But yeah, like,
it's a peculiar watch, because it's serious, and then it's not serious, and then it's really dark at points, or it tries to be dark, with you know, child abuse, and then it just goes back to, you know what, I'm gonna stab the ghost, you know, like, it's just so all over the place, where it's just like it doesn't know exactly what it knows what it wants to do, but it's so as you're watching it, it's just like, why is this a thing? You know, why do I need to watch this girl eat pie? You know, it's nonchalant to the movie. I mean, it really doesn't serve any purpose at all. You know,
I was like,
I mean, I know it's a gag.
I
know it's a gag, but still, like,
yeah. And I get it. You know, I get the going from something dark to something goofy, is so that way it gives, like, a mental break. So some, like, those heavy tones don't overwhelm the viewer. And, you know, I get that. There's a lot of...
If I want to watch something like that, I'll watch Solo. I mean, at least that film's funny as fuck. I don't care. It's the most disturbing film ever. You know, Solo, or 120 Days of Sodom. That film is a great dark comedy. I don't care. Maybe I'm the fucking sick individual, but, like, again, that's like taste. Honestly, it's like tastefully done. Where, like, oh, we're gonna talk, because the head mistress, she talks about how she has to piss on an older man because she's like 8 or 14 or however young she was in the film, and, like, she's giving these life stories about her, you know, doing all these horrible things, and the old men want to perform that on the men and the girls and the thing, and it's like, it's the most outlandish shit, and it's hilarious, and then they conclude it with, like, the most dark, depraved shit, you know, the guy getting pissed on and eating shit and stuff like that. I mean, it's a depraved movie, but my God, it's funny as fuck. I mean, seriously, I don't know. I never laughed that hard at a fucking movie. No comedy's ever made me laugh that hard. Like, again, I'm a sick individual. Don't get me wrong. So hearing a head mistress talking about how she had to piss on a older man when she was like younger, and how she's taking these life stories, and it's a great movie. I mean, honestly, it's not because it's a heavy subject matter, but it's just a fun. People think, oh, it's the grossest film. It's dirty. It's depraved. It's a great dark comedy. Honestly, if you really look at that in the mindset, it's a fucking wonderful dark comedy. But that's just me. That's just me, where I take light in seeing a baby get bashed with a hammer. But again, that's
movies.
I know, the conversation, man, where they lead to. But this one, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much. Even if we wanted to spoil it, you're going to try to look for it, and it's not going to happen until, like, a really weird time.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I think the movie did what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think
you just have to be in the right mood set for it, because of
it wasn't what I was expecting, especially reading the synopsis. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
I mean, there's parts of it in there.
Yeah.
And it's very sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, and I kind of wish it was a little bit more cohesive, but that's just me, because I have a very short attention span, and so when conversations get boring, I kind of drift away, and then when I come back, I'm like, oh, like, I missed 4 things.
Yeah, if you have ADD, this film is definitely not for you. Yeah, if you have ADD, ADHD, whatever, some kind of thing where you can't keep, attention, this is because the conversations are going to go in one ear and out the other. They're going to drone on for way too long. You'll get a snippet of gore with the bunny and the sock bunny mask killing somebody and chopping a dick off, or shoving a knife up a tied guy's ass. I mean, you get that, and then you get some really heavy-handed, dark stuff, and then some meta humor, fourth wall breaks, and it's just all over. I mean, again, I wouldn't say like, why is that ADD? It keeps it fresh and going, but like those conversations last forever, and that's the thing. Like that one conversation, I think, went on for like 20 fucking minutes, and like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like it was. There was some parts of the movie that really did and drag out. And, I mean, obviously the scene where the girl was just sitting in the hallway, and I was like, okay, the first time it popped up, I was just sitting there like, oh, is this at first I thought it was just the killer, like, wearing a different outfit before they got the bunny outfit. And then it goes off. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And then it comes back, and it goes off. And then finally we got the conclusion, and then it stopped. And I was just like, why did he just stab that thing and walk away? Or she, or I was kind of confused by that too. Of like, who exactly was the rabbit? But I also might have missed who the rabbit was. I didn't see the reveal of who it was. And I think at the end it hinted. Yeah.
I mean, I know, I don't want to say it because they'll give it, 2 things away, maybe off air. But, again, it's a odd, I mean, I put that in a loose term, odd, because it is kind of odd. It's all over the place. It has some okay moments. The conversations are a little too ego-driven, a little heavy-handed on the nose. Like I said, it does feel like bending you over and just giving you a good reaming at times. Where like, come on, dude, I get the point. I understand what you're going for. I don't need it, like I don't need a horse cock up my ass, at points, we're just like, okay, I get it. but as an Easter movie, it's definitely a weird one. Again, I don't think I'd watch it again and have fun with it, because it's not one of those films that you really have fun with, because there's nothing bad about it. There's nothing entertaining about it. It's just a guy, a director stroking his ego, going on a tirade, and he wants you to hear his woes about it. And it's just like,
yeah. And
I don't.
Jokes
if I want to do that, I go listen to Alex Jones or something talking about the New World Order. It's like I don't. Go listen to all these right wing, left wing sites and talking about stuff like that, or just like I don't need this. I want to watch a fun movie, and like it there's just like I get his point, I understand it, but it's just as a film, it just did not work, and it's just like it's just like there's nothing really to walk away from. Even like again, I watched it yesterday in preparation for the show, and I was really trying to recall everything. There's nothing to recall. It was just conversations, so there's really nothing there. Besides the few instances of the bunny cutting a dick off and shoving a knife up a dude's ass and the reveal at the end, but that's about it. I mean, there's not a lot. And the in the sex conversation about dicks, I mean, that's about it. That's the only stuff that just stuck into my head, because again, that's like I'm a 5-year-old. Dicks, cocks, and things like that. So yes, fucking Beavis Butthead over here. Wood.
And in talking about the jokes were so on the nose, it felt like they were explaining the joke and why it was
funny. That's where
funny.
I said it was almost like parody too, where it's just like even the jokes are on the nose.
And it was just like I just felt like they were explaining the joke to me and telling me why each line was funny as they were doing the joke. And I was like, it felt just so forced.
Yeah, he was sitting there
and like they were trying to be clever.
You with his elbow, like, huh? Hey, how about that one? How'd that work out for you? It's like, don't you get it? Get it? Like poking you in the elbow.
It's like, yeah, I got it. Go away. And I mean, it's not, and that's like the worst part about this film, is that it's not good and it's not bad, but it's also not really average either. It's its own little thing, and it's
quirky. It's just quirky.
Yeah.
That's the only word I can think of.
And like, I didn't hate myself for watching it. I actually I did kind of enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, well, you know what? It's just one of those, like, yeah, I watched it. I didn't want to just like throw something at my TV to bust it to make it stop or kill myself. I was like, but I also have no desire to ever watch this movie again.
Yeah, there's just not much. I think we got the best parts out of it, and that's going to stick with us. Like, oh yeah, I don't need to listen to him go on tirades for an hour. I'm good. I got my women taking horse cock conversation in my repertoire, and I'm good.
Yeah. And,
and
it's not even... We've watched movies, too, that, like, had a lot of conversation in it that did better.
Yeah, they weren't as berating.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like I've seen those actors before in something else, and that was bothering me. But
I mean, they're British. They could be in that pact of all those Louisa Warren, Alex.
I honestly was thinking that. That is where
Jack Peter Mundy films. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they all of those people are in like some cult, some movie making cult.
They are.
And like,
they are.
If one of them didn't direct the movie, they wrote it.
I was looking at stuff that came out like years ago, like last year, I think Easter Bunny Massacre came out, and then like there's a sequel to that just came out this past month, and then they had like Humpty Dumpty or the Curse of Humpty Dumpty and like the Cult of Humpty Dumpty came out last year, and now we have Medusa, and now we have a sequel to Medusa, and then we had Jack and Jill, and now we have a sequel to Jack and Jill. It's a never ITN just like shells out all that money to like the Louisa Warren, Jack Peter Monday crowd. I don't know. Dinosaur Hotel 2. Like, the world needs Dinosaur Hotel 2 after the first one was such a fucking success.
Well, and, you know, my theory is that this is all just a conspiracy to keep Tubi relevant.
I'm sure.
Like, I mean, because if you look at, because I did a deep dive, and I found like a huge chunk of Tubi's horror movies all had something to do with the Louisa films. Like, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, there's that director, and I was like, they were an executive producer on one of Louisa's films. They wrote a film. Louisa was an executive producer on them, or she was one of the writers. And it was like everybody.
Films, they're helping them out, getting their foot in the door.
Yeah,
and then
there was at least
they're all swapping the same actors and actresses, and it's just like, it's fucking nuts. And here we are, going about fucking Louisa again. But my God, it's interesting. I mean, seriously, like, no one's ever noticed it. I don't know why. I mean, it's low budget. No one fucking cares. I don't blame you. But it's like, again, we've done all this marathons and stuff, and it's just like, it comes up, and just you're wondering, like, how the fuck?
And it's all accidental. But I am going to look it up now, because I do want to see if it is a part of that, and I will get back.
God, rabbit hole. Here we are talking about Easter films, and we're going down the Louisa Warren rabbit hole. Oh my goodness, that's a hole that never goes. That's a deep, deep hole. We're gonna find out. We're gonna have all the strings attached to the thumbtacks, and it's gonna go from. It's gonna be like that Charlie meme and Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Well, we need to. I'm almost tempted to write to her to see if we can get her on the show and ask her about this. So, like, look, we did a deep dive, and we found out that, like, 30 independent movie makers all seem to be centered around you, or at least you were our starting point.
Yeah. Like I told you, man, I think they all went to the same film school, and they all graduated around the same time. So they're just like that pack where they're all friends, and they just do everything together. And one's an associate producer, executive producer, actor, writer, and they all just go around. You know, again, I'm pretty sure all the same scripts. Again, Louisa uses the same script in every fucking film. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Come on, like half that shit, I did when we did the reviews and half the stuff I've watched already, like, it's the exact same fucking movie. Viking War. I recently watched Viking War. That was the only last Viking movie that Louisa did that I haven't watched, because we did Pagan Warrior and we did Scarecrow's Revenge. Viking War has the exact same sets as Pagan Warrior. It has Peter in it, too, who's like the king, and like he's like the king in the Pagan Warrior. So it's like it's the same fucking thing. And it's so fucking weird. It's just like the same thing. Ian, it's crazy. It's just like, you know what? I don't have to write a new script. I'll use the new one. Even all of them, like, because they use the same fucking thing. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, all the Tooth Fairy movies that Louisa did are the exact same thing, even though I've only seen the first 3, and there's 5 of them.
Wow. At first you don't succeed. Try 5 more times.
Yeah. Oh, but Ian,
it's ridiculous.
That's again. We could go on hours, because that is just a fucking mystery to unfold. Because you have to go through every film, and like we did that when we were reviewing them, like how, you know, like this is that film, like Bride of Scarecrow and fucking the Tooth Fairy are the exact same films. Like they're the exact same films. And then Curse of the Scarecrow. I think that's another Louisa film. That's the exact same film as Bride of Scarecrow, except for the change out like a lead character. Instead of getting married by a scarecrow, it's just a scarecrow. And she's like, it's the same fucking movies, and she just moves things around and makes a new film. You know, it's nuts.
Yeah. Well,
but again,
I'm gonna look it up.
That's a lot of research, man. We've done too much research for shitty movies. And we just watch them. And it's just like this rabbit hole of shit. Just like, it's like reaching our hand in there. Like we're gonna go noodling and we're gonna hope to pull out a catfish, but no, we're gonna pull out Louisa Warren films.
Yeah, and I think what got me into it was we were talking about how some of the actors were in some of Louisa's films, and I just happened to look it up, and then I saw, because it was a different director, and I happened to see Louisa's name in the executive producers. And then I looked over at her movies and saw that the director I had came from was an executive producer on a few of her films. And then I just started then it just got me into a deep dive.
Yeah.
Of like 20 different people.
It's
a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. And no one's talking about it, Ian. It's fucking Illuminati.
I know.
But it's Louisa Warren.
It's the Louisa-nati.
Louisa-nati, there we go.
All right. And I think
we're going to end it there because I don't think we're going to be able to top that. So, Ian, where we go with these fucking shows is beyond me. But here we go. As always, it's great talking with you, and it's just it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just to clear our heads.
I needed it.
Shoot the shit, and it's just like you just want to relax, and that's what we do. We talk about horse cocks, and then we end with Louisa-nati. So that's good. I mean, that's good. That's how we want a show to end. So thanks everyone for listening, even though it took forever to get us this show going. So hopefully you made it this far and you enjoyed. Again, from where the show starts, where it ended, complete opposite. But as always, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time on Horror Not Oasis. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Touch your skin.